Dear parents, today is the 6th day of the Parents Webinar Series on Good Parenting or Effective Parenting. We had 2 sessions by Reverend Dr. Paul Churathotil, primarily for parents of 11th and 12th grade students. We have been listening to Reverend Dr. Tom Thomas, MSFS, primarily for the parents of teenage children. Thank you, parents, for attending these very useful seminars. We are very happy that tens of thousands of parents are finding time for this, which shows your love and care for your children. Let us keep learning and try to be better parents. As St. Paul writes to the Colossians, fathers, do not provoke your children so that they may not become discouraged. Sometimes we parents get upset with children and make themselves also upset after getting mad or yell at our children. 2 weeks before, Father Tom talked about the futility of yelling at children and that it is a poor tactics and bring bad results. Last week, Thomason talked about what if parents yelling has damaged their children and even they have been heartbroken. He talked about different parenting styles. Today, he is going to talk about it is easier to build the child than to repair the adult. It is our honor and privilege to welcome once again Reverend Dr. Tom Thomas. Thank you, Thomason.
Thank you, Chirian sir. Good evening, everybody, and once again welcome to this session, 6th session. Let's take a moment to place ourselves in the presence of God. We thank the Lord for this beautiful moment in our life. We thank the Lord for all the blessings that we have been receiving throughout this day. As we are coming almost to the close of the day, after having accomplished many things, maybe also when we are a bit tired, we are here because we care for our children. Lord, you know how much we long to belong to our children and experience that belonging of the children to us. We pray that help us to build healthy relationship with our children so that we can fulfill your plan for us. Holy Mother of God, we seek your company with us during this time and ask you to pray for us that we may also truly become the parent that God wants us to be. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. God, pray for us sinners now and forever. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit. Is to us. Amen. Today's topic is very clear. It is easier to build up the child than to repair an adult. Building up the child is not that easy, you would say, because you are the ones who are doing that beautiful, glorious, marvelous task of building up the children. So it's not that easy, but then it is easier than repairing an adult. To repair an adult is not that easy. So comparatively, building up the child is easier. That's the meaning of the saying. It is easier to build up a child than it is to repair an adult. I reflected quite some time on this topic last week, the parent-child relationship. I was introspecting my own experience at my own family, my home, how my parents took care of me and how indebted I am towards them. Not because they were perfect, they had their own failures and shortcomings. I am indebted to them, I am grateful to them because I know that they loved me all the time. Maybe sometimes they made mistakes, they have had failures, but then no matter what they did or said, I know they loved me. They were successful in building up that relationship with me. So that is very important, I understand. If you have the right relationship with your child, it's not what you say, what you do, going to affect them. How they perceive your saying and your doing is going to affect them. So this perception of the child comes from their experience of you as a loving father or a loving mother, or not so loving or not so the father or mother. So the parent-child relationship, I would say PCR, just for making it easy. This PCR, parent-child relationship, is qualitatively a different form of relationship from all the other relationships. We have many relationships. Our life is a web of relationship, we say. We have relationship with our brothers and sisters, relationship with the friends, relationship with the spouse. All these are relationships, but then the parent-child relationship is very unique and it is very different qualitatively. And parent-child relationship develops over time. There are various factors influencing this relationship. The child characteristics, the parent characteristics, and the context of the family. So all those things are influencing the child-parent relationship or parent-child relationship. There are also certain risk factors in building up the relationship. These risk factors can be either residing in the parent or in the child. So there are certain risk factors that are unique to parent-child relationship. So the relationship processes involved may be depend on where it resides. Is it with the child or is it with the parent? Risk factors in the child could be the developmental disability, prematurity, child developmental delay, or child diagnosis of ADHD, attention deficit hyper disorder, hyperactivity disorder, or behavior problems. Sometimes this ADHD is not diagnosed, and then we expect things from our children in the normal way, and they struggle in their life. They are not able to give us that result that we want from them. So undiagnosed ADHDs are numerous. There are so many who struggle with those things. So all these are factors that can interfere with our building up our relationship with our children. On the other hand, there are risk factors in the parent. The parent also has characteristics and uniqueness. Suppose the parent is suffering from any form of psychopathology, any mental illness or mental disorder, that can affect the child's relationship with the parent. Suppose the mother is suffering from depression. It is not at all easy for the child to develop a healthy relationship with his mom unless this child is instructed and told, your mom is having a real issue. You have to understand. Sometimes she may be behaving in a way that you don't like, and it is coming from her illness. So most of the time the children are unaware of what is happening with the parent, All that they experience is this yelling and this aggression. And they are confused. And they come to conclude, my mom doesn't like me. My dad doesn't like me. So these diseases of the parents can affect the children and the relationship with them. Addiction of the father. Suppose the dad is addicted to alcohol or drugs. He cannot be there for the child. And the child will wonder why my dad is absent in my life. So this particular problem that the dad is facing is going to affect the relationship with the child. And sometimes it's not the illness, but it's a lack of commitment. The father or mother, dad or mom, is not committed to their responsibility towards their children. That can affect the relationship. Sometimes economic hardships. There's a problem. We have to take care of so many things and then we don't have enough time to be with the children. We have to work day in and day out. And then somehow we need to meet the ends. So that's so hard for many parents. We buy a house, we have to pay the mortgage, and we have to take care of many things. We have to pay the bill at the end of the month. We have to find some way to do so, work hard. So not having enough time to build up this relationship with the kids. Sometimes the temperament. And last week we spoke about the stress, how stress can affect our relationship. So, as I said, these factors can affect parent-child relationship. Sometimes it is with the children, sometimes it is with the parents. But then effective parenting, we are talking in the beginning about effective parenting. Effective parenting happens only where there is good parent-child relationship. And effective parenting produces this good parent-child relationship. So this is a kind of mutual thing. Effective parenting happens only when there is a good relationship, and good relationship happens when there is effective parenting. It's mutual. And parenting, as we know, parenting is a noble task, but it can be very challenging sometimes. And success of this parenting depends on the parent-child relationship, as I said in the beginning. So once you have established a strong bonding with your child, then parenting becomes much easier. You need to communicate to your child love. Once you win their hearts, then it is easier to raise them up. Once they conclude that my dad does not love me, my mom does not love me, it's so difficult to communicate anything to them. So, what is most important is to communicate to the children that you love them. I know that all the parents love the children. Most of them have more love towards the children than they love themselves. But then the problem is many fail to communicate this love. And children do not really understand this love. And sometimes it's so frustrating, to see how the children are behaving without understanding the love that we have in our heart. We have so much love for them, we live for them, we do everything for them, but then they don't understand this love, which means we have failed to communicate this love in a way that they can understand. It's not in our own terms. We have to communicate in the way that they can understand. So, it's very important to have a healthy parent-child relationship. It's a primary focus of our life. We need to really take time to learn the skills to build this relationship and promote this relationship. So, parent-child relationship lays foundation for the personality of a person, a child. A child's behavior is shaped and formed by this relationship. A child's personality is shaped by this relationship. A child's value system, even personality traits, are shaped by this relationship. So it is the key element in the growth of a child. So it's very important that we find the time and we need to learn the ways that we can build this relationship. So what happens when we have good parent-child relationship? It helps the overall development of the child. The whole person. We learned the other day what is effective parenting. We said effective parenting is being and doing that which promotes the growth of the children. That which promotes physical growth, emotional growth, social growth, intellectual growth, and spiritual growth. They should be promoted in every way. So my being and my doing, when it promotes the growth of the child, is an effective parenting. So when I have this effective parenting, we said there will be healthy parent-child relationship. And when there is a healthy parent-child relationship, it helps the overall development of the child. The positive and healthy parent-child relationship is necessary for the development and growth of the child. Stronger the parent-child relationship, the better the child is able to accept corrections. Probably this is something that you struggle with. When you correct your child, it is not that easy. The child is not willing to accept that correction. There's a lot of resistance from the part of the child. So this resistance will be much less, or they will be able to accept the corrections with grace if you have been able to establish healthy relationship with this child. So parent-child relationship is very necessary element if you want experience, if you want acceptance or correction from a child. And also, when you have healthy parent-child relationship, it also helps them to build other relationship, healthy relationship with the peers. Children with a healthy relationship with their parents are likely to establish positive relationship with the people around them. And they can establish secure bonds and friendship with the peers. So that's one thing. Their relationship is going to be defined by the way they are related to you. The parent-child relationship will define their way of relating with other people. If they have a trusting relationship with you, they can trust other people. If they feel secure in their relationship with you, they feel that security with others. So the parent-child relationship is very important aspect of helping children to develop other relationships. Parent-child relationship also help the children to have emotion regulation. You know what is emotion regulation? Regulating the emotion. Sometimes children have difficulty in emotion regulation. They cannot control the emotion. They can't contain the emotion and they can't control the emotion. They just burst out of situations, they burst out in anger. Impulse control disorder. Some children have impulse control disorder. They cannot control the emotion. They don't know what they're doing when they are emotionally charged. So that is coming also from disruption in parent-child relationship. So when you have a better parent-child relationship, children are able to control the emotions better. So they have better emotion regulation, and it helps them to establish positive social behavior. So when they go to the society, they will be respected because they can behave well in the society because they have learned it from the family. And there was a study by Elizabeth J. Keel and Anne E. Colomaris. They made a study on father's influence on this emotion regulation in children. If the dad is having problem, very aggressive at home, yelling all the time, using drugs or alcohol, this is going to affect the emotion regulation of the children very, very drastically. So father's influence is so much in the emotion regulation of the children. So emotion regulation develops from within the parent-child relationship. So it's so important to have this parent-child relationship so that children can have emotion regulation. There are some cultural aspect of this, expression of emotion. So a culture also influences the emotion regulation of the child. For example, spanking a child is seen differently in different cultures. Maybe 40 years ago, 50 years ago in India, spanking a child was not a problem. That was considered to be the normal, raising children, our way of raising children, correcting children. So this punishment were not seen as some torture or some abuse. But then today, suppose you said the same thing here, United States is going to be a different story altogether. So you see the difference there. Some of you have been receiving such a treatment from your parents. Some of us have received such a treatment from our parents. Spanking, we all have received probably. I have received. You probably have received. We don't feel that my father hates me or my mom does not like me. I don't feel that way. Even when I was punished, I knew my dad loves me. Because I live in a culture where everybody else will come and say, I also received the same thing from my father. When I go to school, I get it there. So it becomes part of the culture. So there we don't judge this as something negative altogether. Why do they punish me? I know that they love me. They want to see me improve. Why my teachers punish me? Because they want me to study better. That's the understanding I had at that time. So the culture plays an important role. But then now things are different. Now what happens, some of the parents I have heard, so I was treated this way and I am doing well, so why can't I treat my child the same way? It will not work now. That's a tragedy. You were born in a different culture and you had a different perception about that treatment, that particular experience. Your perception is so important. It's not the event that is so important, it is the perception. There is something called the 90-10 principle by Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey, the one who wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Stephen Covey speaks about the 90-10 principle. You know what it is? The 90-10 principle says 10% of our life consists of things over which we don't have any control. We contract an illness, there was an accident, there was a death in the family. We have no control over those things. They just happen to us. But then they are only 10% of our life. The rest 90% of your life depends on how you take this 10% of your life. How you interpret this 10% of your life. What meaning you give to this 10% of your life. So that is what is going to make the difference. So 10% of the events, 90% of your perception. So the same thing can be perceived differently in different cultures at different times. So what I experienced, that was it in a different culture, in a different setting, and I had different understanding of that. Now, if I do the same thing here, the children here do not understand that. Because when they go to school, they are told, you are not supposed to be spanked. You are not supposed to be yelled at. And they know this is something wrong. And their perception of this yelling or this spanking is very different from the notion that we had or we have. So it does not work. Since it worked with me or with you, does not mean that it's going to work with the children now. So we had to make this distinction. Many parents make this mistake, I know, that's why I'm just stressing it so much. So just because you had this experience and you were okay, you grew through that, does not mean that this is going to help your child. Because their perception of the same experience is very different from the perception that you had about this experience. Clear? So, very important point to note. Acceptance of the event and interpretation of the situation is very important. Just to keep this in your mind. Acceptance of the event and interpretation of the event or situation is what is going to give meaning to that experience. That is what is going to trigger the emotion in the person. So this is very important, key element. Now, there are two elements or two concepts in parent-child relationship. Psychologists speak of two necessary ingredients, we say, for an effective parent-child relationship. What are they? One is acceptance and the other one is non-acceptance. Acceptance of the child and non-acceptance of the child. Do you accept your child? Have you accepted your child, or do you still find it hard to accept this child? You had a dream about your child, and when this child was born, this was born the way that he or she is. Have you accepted this child? The first sight, sometimes you had a very different idea of a child. I have seen people who have rejected their children because they were disfigured. There is one convent in somewhere near Changanasheri side. I forgot the name of the convent also. Sisters are taking care of those children. Parents, when they see this child, they don't want this child. So they just want to throw it away. They don't want deal. They don't want to even look at them. So these sisters will go and pick them up. And they are raising these kids. So there are people who find it difficult to accept their children. So this is very important. Have you accepted your child, or have you not been able to do that? Have you been able to accept your child as she is? You had your own dream of a child, and when you got this child, it was probably different from the dream. So have you been able to accept the child as he is or as she is? And again, please do not compare your child. These are not new things, I know. You all know it very well, but then I hope this is a reminder which can help us. We should not compare our children with anybody else's children. We should not compare our one child with another child. Every human being is unique. I am a unique human being, and I have a unique role to play in this world. I do not have to be like somebody else in the world. This child need not be like the other child. Your child need not be like somebody else's child. Your child is a unique person, and we have to accept this person uniquely as a unique gift from God. So please do not compare your child with any other child, and remember, never make any statement of comparison, particularly in their hearing. When they hear a comparison from the parents, it's so devastating. It's so disheartening. It affects their personality. It affects their self-confidence. It is going to affect them forever. So now the concept of acceptance and non-acceptance is very important. Even before birth of the child, there is acceptance or non-acceptance. You get married and you realize that wife is pregnant, or you understand you are pregnant. And then suddenly you have a feeling, no, this is not the time to get pregnant. I have to do many other things. I did not want this child at this time. That feeling is communicated to the child. A feeling of rejection is there itself in the womb. The child is getting the message, I not wanted. So when you feel that this child is not needed now, you're communicating a message to the child, I not wanted. That is going to affect the child. And again, after birth, how you accepted the child. So this acceptance of the parents is going to affect this child, and it's going to affect the relationship with the child. Even sometimes what happens is, suppose when the child was in the womb, you experienced this difficulty and you did not want to have this child, but after child was born, you were ready to accept, but then child is not able to connect with you, because the child has already experienced this rejection and distanced himself or herself from you. So that needs to be healed. Child has to experience healing from that. The mothers who connect with their baby during pregnancy are more likely to interact in a more positive way with the infant after it is born. So when the child is in the womb, you need to connect with the child. We need to talk to the child. We need to love the child. We need to take care of the child. So once you are able to communicate with the child in the womb, then you will be able to communicate with the child when it's born. So this was a research, a study done in Cambridge University. This study shows that the women, the mothers who were able to connect with the child while they were in the womb, were able to connect with the children later in much better way. So The feeling of acceptance starts in the womb. I am grateful for this precious gift in my womb. So when I accept this child as a gift from God, and I love this gift, then I'm communicating that acceptance to that child who is in my womb. After birth, and you are there for the child, the child feels accepted. You lavish your love on the child. You're always there for the child, and the child feels accepted. And if the child feels accepted, then a positive identity is created in the child. The child feels self-worth, and child experiences a dignity within herself or himself. So this experience of acceptance is very important element in the growth of a child. If not accepted, what happens to the child? It affects the identity of the child. The child thinks that I am not wanted, I am not important, I am not worth, I am not lovable, and nobody loves me. And this is a feeling many children have, unfortunately, my friends. So they don't feel accepted so much. They don't feel loved. May not be because you don't love them. Maybe because you have failed to communicate your love in a way that they can understand. So that's why. So they become aggressive sometimes. They have social problems. They have behavioral problems. They become sometimes a headache for the family, parents. And sometimes as they grow up, they get into drug addiction and problems in life. Various kinds of unhealthy behaviors they engage in. So this feeling of acceptance is the basic, is the foundational. So it's very important that we communicate acceptance to our children. So acceptance of the child is the most essential ingredient for parent-child relationship. We accept the person. Sometimes children make mistakes. We don't accept their mistakes. We need to distinguish between the child and the behavior. I don't approve of this behavior, but still I accept you. Excuse me. So I accept you, but I don't accept this particular behavior from you. That we can communicate to them. So this acceptance is not only in child-parent relationship, it is also in any relationship. Any relationship in terms of feeling acceptance and non-acceptance. A relationship between husband and wife is also same. Have you been able to accept your wife as she is? Have you been able to accept your husband as he is? If you have not been able to accept, then that relationship is not going to be that intimate. There will be difficulty in intimacy in such a relationship. Suppose you have not accepted your husband as he is, or your wife as she is, you will find it hard to have intimate relationship with that person. I always speak about this mental frame. Psychology speaks about a mental frame with which you are born. During the wedding homily, I usually speak about this mental frame. Everyone is coming into this world with this mental frame. So I have a mental frame of the spouse whom I want to marry. So everybody is growing up this mental frame. Then you come across many people, or many people come across to you, and you see them, and then you match this person with the mental frame that you have, and you find some people, okay, identifying with this mental frame, some are not. Sometimes you are okay with this mental frame and the person, but the person does not. That person has some other mental frame, so they say, no, I don't want. So it goes on for some time. At the end, you find one person who will fit into this mental frame, and okay, you're happy, you propose and you get engaged, and then you get married. So that is a mental frame. That's a wonderful experience. Suppose you can find somebody who is corresponding to the mental frame that you have. Life is beautiful. Sometimes that does not happen. Sometimes even after getting married, what happens, your mental frame is something else, and you look for somebody else. If suppose you are not happy in your marital commitment, your commitment to the child also is going to be very minimal. If you are not committed to your spouse, yes, it is going to affect your commitment to the child. most of the times, not all the time. So it's very important. Acceptance of the spouse is very important. It's foundational if you want to accept the child. So acceptance is very foundational to any relationship. So relationship in general, very shortly if I say, to be is to be related. We are people, we are social beings. Emil Durkheim, social psychologist, sociologist, he speaks about to be is to be related. We are people who are meant to be with the people in the community. What brings happiness to our life is our relationship. When I have a healthy relationship, I'm a happy person. When there is a wedge in my relationship, my happiness disappears. I'm in trouble. My physical, psychological, spiritual health, everything depends on my relationship. My emotional well-being, my mental satisfaction, my urge to go to work and do things, all these are coming from my relationship. Relationship is very important. And relationship is spirituality too. What is spirituality? Spirituality is one's understanding of God, self, others, and the universe, and the resulting relationship. This is spirituality. Spirituality is one's understanding of God. Based on this understanding, I have a relationship with God. Understanding of other people. Based on this understanding, I have a relationship with other people. Understanding of self, and then I have a relationship with myself. Understanding of this universe, and then based on that, I have a relationship with this universe. So spirituality is one's understanding and the relationship. So this is important to know that relationship is the foundation of our well-being. Relationship is spirituality. Relationship is the foundation of our physical well-being. And the longest lasting social relationship is parent-child relationship. You know, the Kira Burdett says, the parent-child relationship is the one of the longest lasting social ties human beings establish. We have a different relationship, but then the longest lasting is between a child and a parent. Before the birth, parents had a dream of a child. This relationship started even before this child was born. This child was born first in their heart, in their mind. They had a dream of a child. I want to have a child. So it starts there. This relationship with this person starts even before this child was born. Even after the death of the parent, that relationship continues. Just because our parents die, our relationship does not die. It continues. We still remember them, we pray for them. So it's the longest lasting relationship. Parent-child relationship is the longest lasting social ties in the world. So parent-child relationship involves expectations, behaviors, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. A lot of things are involved in this relationship. There's a lot of happiness, there's a lot of joy, sometimes there's hurt and pain. All these are part of this parent-child relationship. Now, how does an accepting parent look like? The other day we were speaking about alpha parent. I am going to come there also a little bit. So accepting parent is an alpha parent. Who is that? A person with inner security. A person with inner security. I'm very happy within myself. I feel good within myself. I'm happy with myself. A person with inner security. I'm not threatened in the presence of others. I'm not afraid of situations because I have integrity and I'm happy within myself. High tolerance level. There are some people, sometimes we hear people talking. I can't stand this. That is a very low tolerance level. I can't. Who said you can't stand? If you cannot stand, you would not be standing there. You are standing and you are yelling. You can stand, only thing you don't like it. Make it a little lesser. Instead of saying that, I can't stand this, you say, yeah, I don't like it, but then, I will survive. So, high tolerance level. Also, they like themselves. They love themselves. They have positive self-image. I'm good. I'm a temple of God. I'm a beloved child of God. I have a positive impression of myself, positive self-image. I have positive feeling and also feeling independent of what is happening around. So something little goes against my plan, already I am upset. No. Things will go on, but I am composed. I can deal with it. Yeah, it's not the best way is going now, but I can handle it. I can deal with it. So that kind of confidence is very important. So accepting parent is like this with inner security. And this is also alpha parent. The other day we were speaking about alpha parent. Alpha parent is confident, outcome independent, relaxed, at ease no matter what is happening around, more or less same. And alpha parent, we said, acknowledges the child's emotions, creates a safe space for them. We had covered some of these things last week, so I just remind you in this context. So become an alpha parent. Some of the parents called me and said, I'm trying to become an alpha parent now. And I was so happy to hear that. That's what we need to become, an alpha parent. Authoritative parenting, we said in the first class. Alpha parent, more or less same. Communicates without judgment and leads by example. And the alpha parent is confident that the children will follow their example. And they stay calm in hectic or emotional situation. Situation is not the best, but then they keep their cool. Think flexibly and go with the flow. They are not rigid. Create a safe space for the child and express their feeling. So they can listen to the child. Even if child is upset, suppose I get panic and upset, then I can't help that child. I'm a counselor. I sit with patient people, clients, and when they are upset, suppose I am upset already, then I can't help them anymore. So I have to keep my cool. Then only I will be able to help them. So create a space for the child. Alpha parents do encourage their child to express themselves. So we need to ask open-ended questions to children sometimes. When they come from school, we need to find time for them. We need to ask open-ended questions. What's an open-ended question? Suppose I ask you, did you have a good day? That's a closed-ended question. Yeah, I had a good day. Over. Conversation is done with that. Instead, I ask them, tell me, how was your day today? Then there are many things to say. Maybe sometimes you can start with an closed-ended question, but then go from there with an open-ended question. So you are there for the child. Instead of just fulfilling your duty, how was your day? You had a good day? Okay, glad to know that you had a good day. Fine. No. How was your day? I am here for you. I have time for you. I am here to listen to you. Would you like to tell me something today? So availability there. So alpha parents understand the mistakes are inevitable part of this growth journey. Children make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, so then they are not threatened by the mistakes. They encourage their child to come up with the possible solutions. If you focus on the problem will increase. If you focus on the solution will increase. There is a therapy called solution-focused therapy. This is the gist of that therapy. It teaches, if you focus on the problem will increase. If you focus on the solution will increase. You focus on the solution. Ask the child to find the solution. The solution is within myself. Every problem I have also a solution within myself. I should help the child to explore that solution from within. I should provide an environment where the child can explore himself and bring out this solution. So that is my duty as a parent. So alpha parents do not lecture or nag children. They don't react with the frustration. They don't argue with the child or with the co-parent. They don't hit or shame or verbally abuse the child. So some of the things I just want unaccepting parents are very rigid, very arrogant, rude, disrespectful, very negative view of self and others, highly critical of themselves sometimes, highly critical of the spouse, also highly critical of the children. It's so difficult to live with such people. Those of you who have experience will agree with me. So it's not easy to live with a person who is negative, all the time negative, very aggressive, very irritable, and there is nothing good in anybody. It's very, very, very irritated. So it's so hard to live with such people. Sometimes I wonder the patience of certain people who bear with such situations. So if that is my nature, I need to work hard on that. Instead of making others suffer, I need to seek help. Maybe you are suffering from depression. All your aggression and all these things are coming from your illness. It's not because you are a bad person you are feeling this way. Suppose you are irritable all the time, you are negative all the time, you seek help, my dear friend, so that you can have a better life and others in your family can have a better life. So instead of being negative and irritable, seek help and you live a better life. So acceptance and non-acceptance, we said, depends on the child and the parent, both. Child also sometimes can be negative. And this feeling of not accepted makes the child negative also. They don't want to connect with the parents anymore. They have a dislike and they are very unfriendly with. Now, acceptance brings warmth and love. Feeling of acceptance leads to warmth and love in the family, and the healthy parent-child relationship brings happy children. Healthy parent-child relationship brings happy children. So what we need to do, some of the things, there are many things, but then a few things we can cover today. Express love. This is very important. Everybody knows this, but many people don't do this. Express love. I have so many experiences coming to my mind. Lack of expressing love, so many problems came. Divorces have happened because they failed to express love. Once somebody asked me, why couldn't she understand how much I loved her? I lived for her and I loved her more than myself, but then she could not understand it. She left me and went away. This man loved this woman, but then failed to express that love in a way that she could understand. So express love. Constantly express your love for your children. You need to tell kids in an understandable way that you love them. It's not enough that you go and work hard for them and you earn for them, you take care of them. All these are because of your love for them, but they need not understand that way. You need to tell them they should feel loved. And in growing up, you need to let them know. You need to let them know when they are very small, before when they are 3, this love should be communicated to them. They should feel confident. My parents love me. And again, many things we can teach them till the age of 7. Afterwards, not too many things we can teach. So before that basic formation is taken place. Even in disagreement, you should express love. Suppose the child does something not very good. You don't agree with this particular behavior, as I said before, but then even now, you need to express your love towards this child. Yeah, amidst disagreement and misunderstanding, I love you. In spite of all your weakness and failures, I love you. I need to communicate this love. Yeah, I don't approve of this particular behavior, but then I love you as a person, as my child. So give them attention, another thing. Express love, another thing is give them attention. We are busy, most of us are busy, and our busy schedule sometimes does not allow us to spend enough time with our children. But then it's very important to give quality time with our children. Playing together, eating maybe snacks together or watching TV together, simply sit down together, simply talk, simply play, engage with them. It's a commitment, I know. It's not easy after the whole hectic work at office. We need some time off. We need some peace. I know. Somebody told me recently from this parish, he used to take pictures, photography. He said, I stopped that. I asked why. He said, I'm working Monday through Friday. Weekend is the only time I get to be with my children and my family. So if I go for photography almost every weekend, I'm busy with that. So I can never be at home with my children and my wife. So I decided to stop photography so that I can spend time with my family. And it's very important. It's very important. I think that's a wonderful thing. We all need to remember. So spending time with your wife and with your children, that it cannot be replaced with anything else. You make some more money and bring them and you buy a bigger house, it's not going to replace or substitute what you're missing there. So this is very important. Pay attention. And develop family rituals. Developing family rituals. What are these rituals? Some practices. Because being there all the time, what are you going to do? So I'm with my wife and children every day, same face, sitting there, get tired? No. We need to develop certain rituals. We need to develop certain family rituals while we are there at home. So family rituals will communicate to the children that you are available. You are there for them. Your availability is known to them. Many things you do, some of the things are very silly, but then you are available to them. I have my dad, I have my mom for me. So this is communicated. And again, family prayer. There's no need to stress on this. The family that prays together, stays together, all the saying, we need to find some time to pray together. This is something not only for you, this is modeling a behavior. You give so many things to your children, but if you don't impart faith, you're not doing much good to them. So suppose you can spend at least some time sitting together and praying. Even if children do not always attend, this is a value in our family that we spend time together in prayer. And this is a value that you will impart to your children. They will observe. They learn by example, not by what you tell them, not what they hear. So family prayer is very important. And also sometimes bedtime reading. You read something to them before they sleep, something nice. Some nice practice, family rituals, reading some Bible, reading some good stories, reading some sayings. All these are going to help the children grow in various ways. Eating meals together. We all know these things, I know. You may be wondering, why am I repeating these things? We all know these things, but we don't practice it most of the time. I'm reminding you. Because these are the basic things that can build families. These simple things, when you take out one by one, we are shattered. We don't have the thing. The family is all these things together, eating together. And while eating, please, let's make sure that the TV is off. Yeah, sometimes so that's the only time that we have for watching TV. But then we fail to take care of the essential things there. So communication is very important. Conversation is very important. And the company of others is very important. And avoid arguments during mealtime. Very often what happens during the mealtime, something will come up. All the problems during the day will come up at the table. And that will spoil the soup. That is going to ruin everything. The whole day is coming to a close with a negative tone. So do not address issues which are deep during the mealtime. Enjoy the meal. And afterwards we need to talk, if you need to talk in serious things, serious matters. So don't get into arguments during the meal. And validate the feeling of the children. Sometimes they have feelings. And you sometimes may not think that your little child has concerns. They have feelings, they have concerns. We need to validate their feelings, understand them. So make them feel that you understood them. So when children say something, yeah, I heard this one. I understood, but then you have to communicate to them that you understood. By paraphrasing or restating the thing or reflecting back the thing, you can communicate to them, yes, I understood you. Yeah, I'm taking it serious. Okay, this is very important that you pay attention and you communicate to them, yeah, that you listen to them. And be non-judgmental. When your child is coming with some issues, don't blame her. Very often it has happened when children were, ill-treated or abused and they came to the parents. And once I remember one young girl told me she was abused by somebody. That was a horrible experience, as you know. That's a horrible thing for her. But then more than that experience, what hurt her was when she came and told her mom, she did not believe this is true. She did not take it seriously. She did not believe this is true. And she said, that hurt me more than the event itself. That event was horrible. I could not bear that. But then when I told my mom this is done, the mom's brother, her own uncle only abused her. So now when she was telling, uncle did this, mom could not believe my brother can do this. So This girl said, that is what shattered me. The experience was even more tolerable than my mother's response to my situation. So this is very important, that be non-judgmental and validate the feeling of the children. Take them seriously when they come with certain concerns. Sometimes they don't talk things clearly. Maybe you notice some changes in their attitude and behavior. We need to be available so that they can talk to us. We should talk to them, help them to talk. Sometimes they may not be free to talk about the things that are so deep and concerning them. So we need to provide unconditional acceptance and listening, and spend quality time with our children so that they feel free to talk to us. Spend time with our children. Most of the time, children don't think that parents can really understand us. They don't think that parents can be really a support to us. And they don't know where to turn to. And sometimes they turn to wrong places. So we need to let them know that we are here for you and we can understand you. We will help you. We are here for you. Okay? So it's very important. So with this little story, I'm going to stop. A man came home from work late again, tired and exhausted, to find his 8-year-old son waiting for him at the door. Daddy, may I ask you a question? Yeah, sure. What's that? Daddy, how much money do you make an hour? That's none of your business. What makes you ask such a question? I just want to know. Please tell me, how much do you make an hour? If you must know, I make $20 an hour. Oh, looking up, he said, Daddy, may I borrow $10, please? If only reason you wanted to know how much I make, then you go to bed. The little boy quietly went to his room and shut the door. After an hour or so, the man had calmed down and started to think he may have been a little too hard on his son. Maybe there was something he really needed to buy with that $10, and he really didn't ask for money very often. The man went to the door of the little boy's room and opened the door. Are you asleep? No, Daddy, I am awake, replied the boy. I have been thinking maybe I was too hard on you earlier. It has been a long day and I took my frustration on you. Here is $10 that you asked for. Son, little boy said, okay, thank you, Daddy. And now he reached to his pillow, under the pillow, and took another $10 and he said, Daddy, I have $20 now. Can I buy an hour of your time? You know, probably this story you have heard. Whenever I read this story, it teared my eyes because it's the reality of the experience of many children. They need you. They need your time, not just your money. So, my dear parents, let's be aware of the need of our children. Let's be available to them, and also let us build this relationship with our kids. There are so many steps of this one which I could not cover today, but then in future sometimes we'll be able to cover that. So next week we'll be dealing with a slightly different topic. Maybe most probably I'm thinking of addressing how the video game and the pornography damages the brain of growing children. So welcome to that session next week. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Damacha, for the presentation. It was interesting to listen to these presentations over the past few weeks. And, something, that kind of drew into my heart was, every child wants to be loved, seen, and accepted, by their parents. And, sometimes just simply saying, that word, I love you, we as, Indian parents don't say it much, that can mean the whole, world to our kids. So next time we get angry or frustrated, just saying, I love you might just be as effective as it can be. So thank you, Tom Macha. Thank you, Tom Uncle and Shani Uncle, for your technical support. I thank you all for joining us for this live stream. Please join us next week for the continued effective parenting presentations, and it will be from 4:15 to 5:15 on the 25th. Thank you.